What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Stoic Context. Today we are going to react to another Kevin Samuels video. Before we get into it, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm going to save my commentary for the end of the video, so stay tuned for that.
I can. Your first name is? Go ahead. First off, are modern women overqualified for marriage?
I actually typed in the chat box, what is your definition of modern women? Because I think that kind of clears,
Women in 2020. I mean, take the question as it were, ma'am. I don't. You can answer it however you like to answer it. Modern women. I don't really know. You want me to go to give you the Webster's Dictionary?
No.
Working women. Modern working women.
Like educated, highly educated. I'm assuming high paying.
They can be that. They can be that. They can be highly educated. They can just have a high school education. But what women today are not the women that were raised in our grandparents, great grandparents, silent generation. Women today are different. I mean, we're socialized differently. We're raised differently. Mm-hmm. And many women feel as though they're overqualified for marriage. I ran down at the beginning of the broadcast. I went over 11 things that women are often told not to settle because you have all these things.
No,
and ultimately makes them overqualified. Go ahead.
I definitely don't believe that women are overqualified. They can be educated, very highly intelligent, attractive, know how to and domesticated, know how to keep a house, know how to raise children.
Hold on. You say they do know how to do these things?
Yes.
So most women know how to keep a house and raise children?
Yes, the women that I know, yes, they all know how.
All right, to. But due respect, we're talking about far more than just the women you know.
Right.
So when I'm talking about, especially in the Black community, what percentage of Black women would you say have the skill sets that the women of the women you're talking about?
Of keeping a home, raising children.
Yeah, what percentage of Black women in the country? What percentage of Black women in the United States have those skills?
I would say more than half, probably about 70%.
So, at the beginning of the broadcast, I put up a straw poll that I asked, and of almost 7,600 male respondents, 83% of men said that women today do not qualify to be marriageable. And then I asked the same thing of women, and they said only 30% of men aren't qualified as marriageable. But what I'm hearing you say is fully 70% of women have these wifely skills.
Yes, sir.
Why is it the men don't see it just saying? Why is it the men surveyed don't see what you're saying, and they're out here dating them?
Well, I think that perhaps it's the type of women that they're dating, because if you're looking for someone who who knows how to cook, who can keep a home, who can raise children, she may have children. She may be struggling with her weight.
Hold on. How old are you?
But
hold on. How old? 30?
Yes, sir.
30?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm 51. And let me give you a little background. I've been dating since I was 15. In my 36 years of dating and 2 failed marriages, I've known 2 women that could cook. 2. I can go onto my mixed group and pull up 400 men who will tell you the same thing. Ma'am, due respect, there may be something to be said about the women that these men are choosing, but I think it's kind of disingenuous to just overlook them and say the majority of men aren't seeing what's really out there. If 70% of women in particular, are we talking about Black women? If 70% of Black women could do this kind of stuff, why are 1 in 4 married? to anybody.
Well, you're asking me a question,
Yeah,
correct?
if 70% of black women have these wife skills, why can 1 in 4 expect to be married to anybody?
Well, in my opinion, I believe that a lot of people aren't looking to be married. That's why they aren't.
Okay, 2019, divorces were at a 50-year low in the United States. 2019, new marriage filings were at a 50-year high. People are still getting married, man. When I on this channel, especially even in my group, uh, roughly now it's about 600. At the time it was like 800 black men and black women. Of the 400 men asked, "Do you want to be married?" 397 said yes. 3 said no. In less than 4 months of going on 5 months of having this group, 5 couples have gotten together in my Facebook group. 2 on their way to being married, and it's just a group I threw together as a happenstance. Ma'am, men want to be married. And what I'm hearing and what I'm trying to show you, ma'am, is the disconnect that you have with there's a disconnect between what women believe and what men are saying they see. That's all I'm trying to show you. Not that you're wrong, that you ladies just see something different than what the men are seeing.
The only thing that I'm thinking about is how a lot of our parents or grandparents, like I said, I'm in my 30s. My mother is in her 60s, grandmother in her 80s. And they were taught the value of keeping a home and cooking, cleaning, and they were married, right? But then a lot of those marriages ended up in divorce and things like that. And even though that um those generational things were taught to, from grandmother, mother, from mother to daughter, I think that sometimes modern women, don't necessarily think that that's enough to keep a husband,
Well,
just knowing.
hold on. Let me stop you right there.
Hmm.
How do modern women don't think that it's enough, but how do
Yes,
they
sir.
know? See, what it is modern
Well,
women aren't asking men what they want. That's the ultimate answer. You ladies are out here making up what you want. And when men want fit, feminine, cooperative, single, childless, that's basically what men want. Fit, feminine, cooperative, single, childless. That's what most men want, of any socioeconomic status. Cooperation being at the top for everything. And I get what you're going to say, that women in the past had all those wifely skills, but ended up in divorce. We didn't have a divorce rate of over 51%, but prior to 1965, the black community was married at a rate of 80%. We were the most married in this country. 80%. 80. But now we have a marital rate where 1 in 4 black women can expect to be married, and of those 1 in 4, when a divorce happens, 80% is filed by sisters. Ma'am, what we have to really start doing is asking men what they want. And if men are saying they're not seeing marriageable women, it's not because they're dating thoughts. It's because the women that they're seeing aren't marriageable. And I gotta tell you, ma'am, if you really believe 70% of women out here can cook, clean, take care of kids, and do all the stuff like mama, big mama, and grandmama and them, what neighborhood are you in? Because we all need to go there. What country you live? What state you live in?
well, I live in DC,
DC. So what we fellas
but
in
hold on,
DC
hold on.
in DC.
But I was raised in the nation,
Okay.
so
Well,
these
but again, the nation
values
ain't.
that
But the nation is not. The nation isn't this country, ma'am. So come on, let's be honest.
I know the nation isn't, this
You know,
isn't
if you're
representative. It
born in the
isn't.
nation, Shahrazad Ali been talking about this since 1989. Hello, really,
Well, I mean,
really,
but
really.
you have to understand that the things that you're talking about have been instilled in me since I was a young
But ma'am, I
girl.
didn't
So
ask. But I asked you in this country. See, I asked you not anecdotally. I asked you of all black women in this
Mm-hmm.
country. And you said 50, maybe even 70%. You didn't say in the nation. You just said in this country. That's
Well,
what you
I mean,
said.
because in the nation that would be 100%,
But that's not
and
what. But
that's
ma'am, but that's not what I
right, and
asked you.
that's why I brought my numbers down to, be mindful of the people who aren't necessarily
Okay,
in the
but
nation, but people
okay,
that
ma'am.
are
But
grown in
what
the
you
church.
brought your numbers down to, what you brought your numbers down to for outside of the nation was still half of all black women, as
Mm-hmm.
much as 70% of all black women, and that's you being conservative. And what I'm telling you is when 83% of men surveyed say that women are not qualified for marriage, you got to listen to that instead of your conservative estimation that 50 to 70% of women have wife duties and wife skills. When the previous caller, the previous person right before you said she didn't have, the previous women said they didn't know none of that. Did you hear them?
Yes, sir.
So this is what I mean. It's either cognitive dissonance or women, you just don't want to look at what men are saying, even when you hear it from women. I don't get that. And to be in the nation, and as an avid, I actually, and the post I made actually referenced Shahrazad Ali today. I'm baffled.
Well, I'm gonna be honest and say that this is literally the first time that I've listened to you.
Mm-hmm.
I actually stumbled upon your video earlier today, probably about 2 or 3 hours ago,
Okay.
and so I got online and I saw that you were on live, and
Well,
I thought
well, let
this,
me say this.
with the interview session. So I can't lie and say that I'm well versed on
That's
the
okay.
different
But
content
you do
posted.
know who Shahrazad Ali is.
No, I don't know who that
Okay. Well,
is.
go look up Shahrazad Ali. Um, but then here's how about this? What we can say is this: whether you know me or my content or any of that stuff, what we can say is that as non-scientific as it was, the 7,600 votes on a post, men said 83%. 83% of people said 83% of men said that modern women are not qualified for marriage, qualified marriageable, and you got to listen to that. That's what we ultimately, if we want to see more relationships and marriages, you got to give the consumer, men, the product they want, which is women. And I think it's fair to say that you're not seeing a overwhelming amount of black marriages today outside of the nation. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
All right. If you're not seeing that, the problem is has to be where. And we've been saying the problem is often been put and said, well, it's men that don't want to get married. Well, if that were true, then black women should still be getting married to non-black men at a higher rate. But 1 in 4 can expect to be married. I would say this: brothers still want to get married. They just want a better quote unquote product, which is black women to at least understand what black men are saying they want at a very basic level. And that's where the conversation has been missed.
I think another important part to add is that Black women are tend to be, in my opinion, so if there's a statistic out there, but Black women tend to be loyal to Black men. So even though you said, maybe we would see more Black women married to, other races, I definitely feel like Black women have a stronger loyalty to staying and waiting for Black men. And
Oh,
so
hold on. All right. Now we're gonna have okay. We're gonna have a problem now. Because there's no movement
okay.
with black men. I'm not gonna say that. Look, if let's just take what you're saying is true. Black women have a loyalty to black men. All right. So if black women tomorrow stopped having this loyalty to black men, what then what? Are the marital rates, what are the marital rates going to do for Black women in general?
I think that the marital rates will go up
Okay. Okay.
because
Listen,
black men
listen.
want to
So,
be married.
okay. All right. But if 1 in 4 Black women can expect to be married, um, are you actually positing that the reason 1 in 4 Black women can expect to be married is because they solely want to marry Black men? Because I got to tell you, man, I don't see Brad, Lee, Ahmed, Keith, and Enrique run into the Black community trying to scoop up Black women to marry. That's just not what I see. Black women have always had access to marry Black. Loving versus Virginia. Black women have always been able to marry white men. There are movements talking about dating out, and I got no problem with it. But here's the thing: the majority of any group wants to be with its own group. The answer is never going to be for one group to go somewhere else. It's ultimately going to be for the women to give the men what they want. If you want men to buy marriage, you're going to have to sell them what they want. And it doesn't matter if it's a Black man or a white man, Hispanic man, Asian man, Vietnamese man, I mean, a Chinese, Asian man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter. I mean, no, come on, ladies. Come on. Issa Rae made a comment. Hey, you know what? Black women are at the bottom. Asian men are at the bottom. We should all hook up. And did Asian men rush out and be like, hey, let me go start marrying Black women? Problem is not that. The problem with marriage is at the end of the day, you got to give the consumer what they want. Simple. It's simple as that. It may sound cold and analytical, but that's really what it comes down to. And if 83% of the consumers think that they're not gonna get what they want, they're not gonna buy.
This conversation shows us something important. There's a huge gap between what people think and what's actually going on. So the caller thinks most women today still know how to cook and take care of a home. But Kevin was talking about what's happening everywhere. Marriage rates are super low right now. Most guys say they can't find women they'd want to marry. When that's the reality, how you feel about it doesn't change the facts. What we want to believe stops us from seeing what's real. If guys are saying they don't want to get married, then something's off. Kevin's whole point is just about being real. A guy needs to figure out what a woman brings, besides money or a job. And a woman needs to understand what guys actually care about. Stuff like teamwork, being supportive, showing respect, not starting drama. These aren't outdated ideas. They're what actually makes relationships last. The sad part is, nobody listens to each other anymore. Everyone's just defending themselves or mad about something. But things only get better when you ask the right question. Not what makes me feel right, but what's actually true. So if your relationships keep failing, look at what you believe first. Then look at what you're doing. If someone proves you're wrong, changing your mind isn't weak. It's smart. That honesty turns fights into real conversations. And real conversations are what builds something that works. All right, that's it. If this changed how you see things, hit subscribe. Tell me what you think below, and I'll see you next time.